Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I wanted to talk to you about the narcissist and do they get their karma? Do they get their negative reaping for the destructive sowing they have placed out there and upon you and in the world, but especially for what they have done to you, right? So I wanted to go in a little different way of how the process may work for you. So let's jump in. So sometimes you went through some recent trauma, maybe in the last several years, which led you to being hurt, needing healing, and probably needing healing for things before that. But nevertheless, you were a good individual that had been placed on a low vibration through a lot of bereavement in your life. And you may have met somebody that may have known was more in a friendship state or an acquaintance state, and you may have began a relationship with them partially, but you weren't healed. So that ended up ending. You are searching to find healing and you don't know really what to do. What comes about is you're at a low vibration and you meet a narcissist. There may have been a couple in your past, maybe quite a while ago, but again, one resurfaces, but you don't know that there is a diagnosis called narcissism. You just have known in the past that you've dealt with some very dysfunctional people and you really don't want to deal with them again. But you meet a narcissist, somebody that comes to you and right away they love bomb you and you think they are your queen. They have really won you over and they put you on this pedestal telling you how good you should have been treated, and they are here to do that. When they come in, they're the victim, and then you pump them up because you kill them. Then they turn into all of a sudden this hero from the victim in their past to now a hero. And they explain to you how you should have been treated, and they're going to do all these great things, take you on some exotic trip that they're paying for, and just all future faking is what we call it, and you'll learn about it later. So this is how you're led into this trap. They're admiring you and adorning you, pampering you and serving you, but then that all stops. But you have felt like you need to give equal reciprocity and you feel really good about it. So you start to pamper them, love them, nurture them, and adorn them, admire them, but you actually mean it. Because you believe that what you're seeing is what you're getting, although you have had your intuition flag you. But because of this love bombing, you have decided not to trust it because you're hearing all these great things and great phrases and words, and you've never felt so good for just a short time, maybe a few weeks or a month. But then before you know it, you're in devalue phase. And again, they quit doing all that to you, but they have trained you on how they need to be treated. So you continue to adore them and admire them. And, you're fighting to get back to this love bomb phase. Nevertheless, this narcissist that you thought was a queen, they have a harsh discard with you and devalue you and tell you so many horrible things. Horrible. Degrading, devaluing everything that was beneficial in your life, any kind of trait that you had, a really good authentic trait, any kind of prosperity you had, somehow it's always, everything's devalued, demoralized, and destroyed. And because you care about this individual, you like to try to take their opinions, and in the past you'd want them to matter, but it's hard to believe these things they're telling you. But nevertheless, you have accepted all this negative energy and they walked off with your identity, and then you chase them. That's how it works. You want them to understand that you're not the person that they are telling you that you are. You want them to understand, this is not me. Whatever you think is me is not me. And that continues until you kind of start, you just do it for a little while and then you lay off. I knew that I was not going to chase like that because I was starting to catch on that there was something going on here. Because these people run in tracks and cycles and they're all the same. So it was like the same devil in a different meat suit, different avatar. And that's what started to catch on after time of resting on discard phase. But then you get these great things told to you and you get hoovered and you go through several cycles only to find that everything that they've been telling you, it's always falters, it's always a lie, and they don't value you. They treat you terrible when they leave you each and every time, and they steal your energy and your vitality. You don't even know who you are. You don't have an identity. You're walking around in their negative energy trying to burn it off, and you feel horrible. And it's like the next day they're out with somebody new. They have branched to a new source of supply. You find all this out later, all these sayings, titles, and everything. But the trauma, the betrayal, the jealousy, they're vengeful. And you start to realize this, and they are pompous individuals, most pompous individuals you will ever meet, very arrogant. They're cheaters, liars, gaslighting you into you believing that it's all your fault somehow. And when you start to go inside and you're trying to find out what you can do because you care about this individual, often you'll find that they're flexing. They're flexing on you in the background, and they're smearing up your name, and your character is being assassinated. And everything that is related to you or who you were before you met them, is being assassinated, and it's being destroyed. They have wreaked havoc on it. Any kind of clout that you had, any kind of goodness. Because what they have done is stolen your identity, and they have placed their negative energy, sinful energy on you. Because these individuals don't repent. They don't even have the ability to, because they can't forgive and they cannot apologize. They do not have love, and they also do not have the ability to be vulnerable. And all of that is related to the definition of love. They do not have loyalty. They do not have respect for anybody. They don't love anybody but that false mask. And that is who is their authority, and that is what they live and die for, which is their fake image. So it's the image they portray to everybody out there. That's a lie. What you see is behind closed doors, the truth. When they're destroying you, wreaking havoc upon your life behind closed doors, and you are being character assassinated, and it's like you're spelled and you're living with the devil. Well, they take all your identity through that by projecting upon you all their evils that they're doing and all the lying and cheating. You'll find through this flexing, they're assassinating you behind the scenes and telling everybody that you are doing to them what they have done to you. All of the abuse, all of the lying, cheating, stealing, faking. They have these flying monkeys out there, which are their cohorts. They run in a team of wolves, and they all go out and project this message. If you are trying to heal, it's very humbling. But in that humbling, you go inside and you go through what they call the dark night of the soul, which is when you start to investigate. You may have found the title of narcissism, different psychological disorders. You find this personality disorder that's not even really a psychological disorder. And then you start to realize there is some sort of demonic attachment to these individuals, because you have seen faces toward the end. Their face has turned into a demonic face physically, a spiritual face in a physical form, and you realize they're the epitome of evil. Nobody could be as evil as they are. Almost the devil is in your presence. Because it's like they are the exact bloodline of him. Because everything that the biblical Satan is, they are the exact same. The people out there don't see it, but they're seeing the false mask, which is when they put your energy on their face and wear your aura. This is real, y'all. And so they feed off you. When they talk about vampires in mythology, they may be talking about these energy vampires, because they steal your essence, your soul energy, and wear it. And they can wear it for a time, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It's a long time, long enough to where you're wrecked. But nevertheless, it humbles you when you end up learning about this narcissism. And then you type in demon attachment narcissism, demon possession, and you find out there's more to this. Everybody's popping up. I've seen black guys, faces, smirks. They've been stalked with these dead and assassin, all kind of stuff. And you're like, wow. But it never populated before. It was always populated with the psychological aspect until you thought about it. So you go in, they call this going inside dark night of the soul. It's when you separate yourself from everybody. And you learn to be by yourself for a time and heal and work this negative energy off of you. And it is so hard. You feel hopeless. You have no faith. You have nothing. You're trying to find out who you are again, because they stole it all. And you've done several cycles before this started to occur, where it woke you up. This trauma, betrayal, you know you've been cheated on. And it hurts so bad. I mean, the next day they're with some new source of supply, some new boyfriend. And it's nothing. They don't skip a beat. They're smiling, laughing, and you're dying inside. And through that, you just get to a point to where you start to feel like you have to move forward. You don't want to stay in this rumination anymore. So you start to try to learn ways to move on. And you do. And then when you start to do a little better, they come back. And of course, they tell you they've met with the Lord, or they've made different decisions or thought about something you said and they've changed, and you let them in again and they wreck it again, y'all. They steal your identity again, and at some point you wake up and just say, I'm done. I don't care. I don't care what you're saying anymore. I can't handle any more of this. Because you've never been cheated on, lied to, and had somebody has done so much witchcraft and spell work on you. And they make you believe. They'll lie in front of your face, bold-faced lies. They will double down on them, and it's like they believe them. So you almost take them back. It's the weirdest thing. They are such good liars in time of need for this supply source. But you've decided, nevertheless, you're not doing this anymore. You work on your shadow self, and you find complete independence, and you start to do inner workings and learn that you need to love yourself more than you were, that you weren't really loving yourself. And this all came from childhood, and they have it too. They have it worse than you because they went in the abuser that we both had as caregivers. You and I went the opposite way, and we tried to love individuals and please individuals, and these became the abuser. They adapted to the traits of the abuser. They copied the abuser and became them to please them. We tried to love them to death, and they tried to please them being mentored by them. They emulated them and took on their traits. They resonated with the abuser. And so this is what you're dealing with. So you reemerge as this new individual, and you've learned about reactive abuse and how you've been groomed. And so you're learning to understand all of this, and your whole reality has changed because you have these people that you used to believe were loving people. You want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and you find out that all that has to somewhat change. You look at people as suspect until you have cleared them, a little bit more calculated, and start to put that checkers board away and pull that chessboard out because you've been hurt too much. You just want to find your balance, and your balance is to get your to either equalize that negative, what the world would call karma is balancing, or your negative reaping, to get it to end. And that means that justice will have occurred. So you're kind of trying to figure out things. And you'll find when you start to refuse the narcissist, because they'll come back around, you'll get other attacks from outsiders. They'll come through coworkers, they'll come through friends and family, and just people all over the place. It's like the Matrix, all these Mr. Smiths or something. They start coming from everywhere. But as you're feeling it out and then spiritually feeling out energy, not accepting negative energy that's not yours, because that's what would happen in the past. You didn't know what energy was yours or what was theirs, and you're accepting all of it, and then you would give off your good fuel. And so during this inner workings, you find your complete true self. Although you were authentic before, you were just groomed for something and being able to be spelled under these generational curses by these type narcissists. So you learn to understand all of that, and you reemerge total and true to you. And it's not easy, and it sucks. Through that pain and that loneliness, it comes through the betrayal and the trauma. You learn to forgive them and let go. And it's a process. I didn't want to do that in the very beginning, but eventually I knew it would come, and it did. I know that they had a hurt in their life, and they choose to go that route where they want to hurt more people. Innocent people. People that were blessings to them, blessings in their life. People trying to help them. We are healers, and we know they need help. Users come to you and use you because they know this. But as you stay true to you, you're very humbled, but you don't want to lose your power through all of this. You've lost enough. So you learn to self-love, and you let everybody go, really, and you stay true to you. You emerge to the true you, and through healing, you forgive and you let go and you give it to God. But you allow the process to lead you. And when the narcissist comes to reappear, you turn them down because they only operate in lust. They don't understand love. And only through love do you get a true connection, not through lust. This is part of their curse. It's not self-love. You realize you were being used, abused. They were jealous of you. And that's why they came to you as well, because they couldn't be and generate the gifts that you have. That's why they have to come and siphon your identity so they can use it and look empathic when they go to seduce new forms of supply. They have to use somebody else's fuel. So they garnered that from you by projecting. They siphoned your energy, and you had fuel lost, soul energy, identity stolen, and they placed theirs on you. They assassinated and they smeared up your character through all their campaigning. Recalibrate and you reassess everything. It's like you have a new birthing, your rebirth. There's no other way of putting it. And through the rebirthing, this new character is completely and utterly authentic. It doesn't bend, it doesn't fold. its ethics, its morals, and its attitude. And you find that that person that you had a relationship with in the past that ended, you starts to regenerate, and you find that it becomes really your true counterpart, the real queen, the real one, the authentic. But because you weren't healed, you could not see their true potential, their true love for you and what you had. Not that you didn't see their worth, but you didn't see their true worth. They're worth more than you knew. But because you had lack of healing, you were seeing it from a different angle and a different perspective. And that's what is the problem with the narcissist on a whole nother level. They never see anything good at all. At least yours was a little crooked. Theirs is so bad that it's the complete opposite, and it's because of lack of healing. But they are stuck. They are fixed. And it's a terrible situation, and I'm not going to lie. Even when you think of that, for them, it's horrible. But you had this image of them, of this individual, and it was a little different than what it should have been to their justice. I'm talking about your true counterpart. So this, over time, we're talking about years have gone by now. This gets reignited, and after health and wellness, and spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally healing, you reemerge. That you start to understand boundaries on a whole nother level. Love, respect, life, self-love, worth, and your will, y'all. If you have no will, you have nothing. You have to have will. Understanding boundaries, consequences, love, respect, life, self-worth, love and worth and will. Toxicity becomes clear. It's the 11 that's spoken of in the word. It's seen and it's separated. You have a clear separation from the sin, the leaven that emerges in your life. You separate the truth from the lie, the leaven, the ego from your spiritual man, your higher self. They're the ego of the world from your spirit man. And you start to kick that toxicity all throughout your personal life. And when you see it out in the world, you don't react anymore because you've put to death your ego. Separating authenticity from toxicity on all levels. Walls are constructed and you build well boundaries. And garrisons of angelic warriors are sent to protect you, placed on the mountaintops, all around to oversee and to protect those boundaries from high. You are put through the fire, and what it burns off all the toxicity in your life. That's what it feels like. And then after the fire comes the rain and the sun begins to shine. It's almost unrecognizable because you haven't seen it in so long. You have new passions that end up emerging. You get your armor fitted and you shine it up because you know it's a war. You used to read this in the Word in Ephesians, but now you've experienced it, and you experienced it with very little armor in the past. And that's why you were destroyed. You might have had your helmet of salvation on, but your breastplate of righteousness, your sword, your shield, it was not there. It wasn't available. You have new passions that end up emerging, and you realize you are blessed. You have favor and purpose, and all of those things that were told to you were a lie, but they were necessary for you to go through. And you passed the test. You had to understand what lesson was to be learned. And you did. It was all a cloud of distractions in your past from these individuals. And you decide that you're not going to accept any more crumbs, that you were made to sit with the king, y'all. Humility is what you walk in always. You respect, you love, peace, sanctity. And you let go of the past. You just let it go. You get reset. But you don't forget. You don't forget the pain, the regret, the loss, the depression, the anxiety. But it's all been completed. You don't forget. But you reset. Because you rebirthed. Toxic cycles, negative reaping is completed. Cycles of toxic cycles and the payment has been served. Or what the world would say, your karma cycle is ended. But in the Word, we call it negative reaping, and you have served your debt that was accrued to you for the things that you've done or accepted. And you learn to accept people for who they are, and your perspective was wrong, and you recalibrate to your true self. Acceptance of people's good or bad, and it is what it is. It may never change, but nevertheless, regardless of the circumstances, you and all questioning of toxicity from past, regardless of the circumstances, you and all questioning and toxicity from past, you accept all of those who they are at face value and that they will never change. They may change for somebody else, but they ain't changing for you. You're done. And you have reset, and so has everybody that you've known. They're not for you. Let someone else decide, but for you, this is the case. Never more than two chances. Don't give anybody more than two chances. Two is the most. If you love yourself, if you decide you want to give somebody a second chance, then it's still just to do that. If you feel that they have truly had remorse for the things that they've done and were apologetic, if they came at you right. But after that, it's a no-go in the future. Never more than two chances in life with each individual max. You take off those rose-colored glasses and you crush them. You smash them into a million pieces because you know they were a lie. Life is hard work. And to get results, you have to put in hard work. There is no easy button, no easy pill. And the narcissist doesn't understand that. And you had some learning to do as well. Manifesting is what starts to occur. As you put in this hard work, you start to manifest, to transmute with no expectations. As far as you used to have expectations that were negative, but now you just look at it like I don't have any, because not having any is better than having negative ones. You have a new life, new ways, new outlook. And then you start to understand the T on the individual that you thought was your fake soulmate. That they come to you and their charm, their allure, their seduction, it doesn't work anymore. You reject each and every Hoover, and when you see them hovering, you walk away. You don't give them any of your time. You don't believe the lie. They are ratchet, is what you learn from the tea that you receive. They are ratchet, y'all. Like, you don't even want to find out the tea. That information is worse. It's better that you don't know. They are ratchet, unappealing, out of touch, not elegant, arrogant, nasty, and they are extra, y'all. They come to you and try to seduce you and think that their charm, allure, seduction, like, why isn't it working? It's not working because it's outdated. You have advanced and you have grown. You've had growth in your life and they haven't. You've left them behind. See, they should have been working on themselves and they haven't. Instead, they were doing these things. They have outdated opinions and outdated material. And you're dismissive of it because you don't care, because you can see right through it, because they're still coming at you with the same old stuff, song and game, and you've elevated. I mean, you could peel them back like wrapping paper, man. I mean, you know what's behind that. They're resistant to change, they're unoriginal, they're reckless, shady, never honest, trying to make self look better. They're on dating apps, tendering, they have a double standard to distract them. And they were too distracted to realize that you were a true blessing, man. And they still don't get this today, but they will get this when you are not there anymore and it completely hits them. I think for the rest of their life, this is going to be their karma, their negative reaping, man. It's going to be horrible for them. They were dismissive of you. They're out on tendering apps and dating all of these people, being promiscuous, savage. They're treating you like a savage and acting savagely out there, flexing, talking about you, talking about how good they are and how rich they are when they're the ones in financial debt. They're cheating on you all the time. They're going to wild parties, getting drunk and acting wildly, low class as a person, multiple partners, thirsty for validation, financial issues, and they're coming to you and devaluing you. I mean, at least if you're going to do all that, at least get payment for all that ass you're given. At least be smart with it. In fact, some cases that may have been. It doesn't work anymore. It's outdated. They've outdated perspectives, and they don't realize that you have changed. Your closure is complete. You shut the book on them. You got receipts for all that. Sorry. Not sorry. Thank you for watching. Give me a like, subscription, and a thumbs up. Till next time, y'all. Sold you up. We out.